Hello, Asim family. So I'm here with your son. We went over the responses that he received. Given that you want to meet with me twice a week, I'll be the first to tell you guys, like, if that's what we need. This week, we don't need that. I'm not saying we wouldn't need it at some point. Now, if you guys insist, you go, Zev, I want you to meet with our son twice a week. When we worked together and I brought you guys on, we moved from the academy, which was the $1,000 inside. I think it was $500 at the time, actually, and then we just moved you to me. So to work with me one on one, typically it's $3,000 and then it's $500 every month after that. And that is not what we did for you guys because I had also said we didn't do enough good enough job on our end in the academy for you, so we brought you on. But to book me, twice a week, all the time like that would require us to pay an additional fee, and I don't even think that's necessary. Given you can still email me 24/7 if there's any questions, and if we really need another meeting, we can have one, and which will happen probably at some point. But I don't think that's necessary starting every single week. And your son has a lot to do that would allow us to wait. And today's Tuesday, so he can book me next Monday, which isn't even a full week. So we can still speak very quickly. And if something happens in the interim, he can send me an email and I can respond to it, which is mostly what's going to happen now. In saying that, he's got a bunch of responses from school, some genuine, some generic. I want to talk to you guys about a couple of those. The main thing is this: he's going to finish sending out his list. When he's done sending out his first kind of round of emails that of the opened up academic D3 schools, we're going to follow up. So you guys know, this round of emails led to a school saying we're very interested. Stevens, which is a top 3 Division 3 program soccer wise, like they're very, very good. Suffolk is a top 25 school who literally texted him and said we want a phone call. What this does say, which is maybe something you won't want to hear but is a reality, is Zaine is flirting in the top level Division 3 programs. And if we were emailing D2s, I'm sure they would respond as well, but they're not really academically what we're looking to aim for. If we're open to the D2s, specifically, within his major, we can open up the opportunity for that as well. But graphic design, journalism, they're D2 programs that are very good as well in this market. But Division 3s tend to be slightly higher. So that's why we're at the Division 3s for the time being. Once we get Division 3 offer that we like, we will go to D2 just so that way we could leverage it against the D1s. D1s, remember, other than the Ivy Leagues and the top schools, they're not going to be done recruiting until after Christmas because they want to go to the MLS Next events in December and January and February. By February, they're going to be done. So my point is, these schools are Suffolk, Steven, they're not going to ask us to do ED unless they really, really want us to, or you guys really want to do ED, which means we have time. Like, we're going to do the recruiting process pretty much through December at this point, which leads me to the next thing is we're going to follow up again, right? It takes about 2 emails for a coach to like a couple of these schools emailed something generic. That's to get rid of the kids that aren't interested. Colby Sawyer is another really good academic school that competes often with the NESCACs. It's a very good school. They just sent him a generic email. We're following up with them for sure, and we're saying, do you want a goalkeeper? So we're going to do that, and he's still got to send another few emails. And with our AI system, he can send emails like very rapidly, which is great. The other thing we need to do is a school like Wilkes, there's a couple others, have invited him to ID camps this fall. As a family, we need to decide, and that list of schools he's been invited to is in his ID camp section. We need to decide, do we want to go? And the way we decide that is, do we want to go academically? So the schools that have invited us so far are Albany, which was basically just between us, is saying, if you want to get recruited by us, you got to come to our camp, which was genuine, but that's all they were saying. Wilkes was, we really like you, but we want you at camp, but can you also come on campus? And UNH was genuine, but this was like invited about a little while ago. And UNH to me is, I would say, a reach school at this point. So that means we need to focus on the D3s if we want to play college soccer. That's what we want. Which leads me to the next point. I messaged your mom, Zaine, Mrs. Asim. I said, who's helping you with the application process? You mentioned your father, and then your son mentioned that in English class you're working on it. If you want your son to have the best chance of getting into these types of schools, he needs to work with a professional. I am not a professional at writing personal statements at the Common Apps. It's not my role. We have somebody on staff that you guys get a free call with. So I would like to implore you to please book them. I'm going to give you her link. Yes, she does cost money, but the first call is free. So I would just say, at the very least, talk to her, hear what she has to say. Maybe she says something new that you guys decide, okay, great, thank you. We're not going to pay for you, but we're going to head in this direction. Because even with the D3 schools, if we can say to them, look, I feel strongly about my Common App is really good. My personal statement's great. My essays are great. Then if, let's say, he gets into early action, let's say we do early action to these schools just for entertainment. Early action, we're going to hear back by December. The recruiting process won't even be done yet by the with the D1 schools. So let's say he gets into George Mason early action. We can message him, say, I've been admitted into your school. Can I I'll talk about a walk on, or can I be recruited? And they go, well, you've already been admitted. I guess we'll have a discussion about that. And that's a really powerful leverage tool. And you can only do that if you do early action, because if you do regular admission, you're not going to know until March, for the most part, February. But if you do early action, we will know by then, and there's deadlines for that. And given your son's amazing grades, I know he's going to retake the SAT. If you were to depend on your school and a non-professional to not spend individuals time making the best personal statement possible and submitting the best application, even the stuff you do with me, at the end of the day, we want to go to a great school. I think it would be ill-advised not to work with a professional regarding the admissions process. We're working with a professional to help them with soccer. I think it'd be very smart to work with somebody, and they are very expensive traditionally, but I know her, she's my friend, and so I basically said, hey, I have students, could you please talk to them for free, at least point them in the right direction? And so she's willing to do that. So I would say this: I'm so adamant about this that I want you to book her. And if you don't book her and you say, like, you don't want to book her, I need an explanation. And if I disapprove of the explanation, then I'm not going to work with you, because I know that if you don't do that, your son's not going to have the success that he desires. And if that means you stop paying me because of that, so be it. That's how much I want your son to talk to this person, to make sure that he does the application as much as he can. You don't have to work with them, but I do want you to have a conversation with her. Zaine, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to do some more stuff with Zaine for sure. And again, I'm going to still work with him 24/7. I want to help him to the very most. I'm not pushing him away. I just care very deeply. So that's why I have said this. Okay. Talk to you very soon.